see the boys become champions. Oh, 67, and then he's a Westman. The first game in the thousands. The see the boys become champions.
Hello and welcome to episode 30 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Tonight's show is sponsored by Manscaped Grooming for Men. Trim your balls while listening to the Bawz and Bovril podcast. Your wife will thank you for it. Euro's best football is back this summer for the Euros. Avoid a Mary Flaney Bush in midfield and clean up your midsection with Manscaped. Proud sponsored of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast. Be a proper lad this tournament and shave your bits and the best of the global leaders in below waist grooming. Manscaped joined over 2 million men worldwide who trusted Manscaped with exclusive offers for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with our code Celtic Rumours TV at manscaped.com. Manscaped is dedicated to helping you level your full body grooming game so that you can enjoy the games clean and properly cared for. They have forever changed the grooming game with their Performance Package 3.0. Head to toe, this is the ultimate male hygiene bundle. The Performance Package comes with a Lawnmower 3.0, Weed Whacker and functions to round out your grooming routine. Bring your boys back to life in the game for the full 90 minutes. They've probably heard of the Lawnmower Acca, the best ball trimmer ever created. This is the best trimmer on the market for those indeed to shave for your tests. The third generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade, reduced grooming accidents thanks to the advanced safe skin technology pioneered by Manscaped. There is even a LED light so that you can see everything you're doing here. Also included is the Weed Whacker, the A's and Nose trimmer, which is waterproof and uses a 9 RMP motor provided by 360 degrees rotary dual double blade system. The Nose and A trimmer provides protective skincare technology that helps prevent nicks, snags and tugs to those dedicated holes. Look fellas, 79% of our partners admitted their long nose hair is a major turn off. Why not use the best tools for the job here? And don't forget that there are liquid formulations to round off the groom in Performance Package. Their crop cleanser body wash to keep your hair and skin feeling healthy and fresh. You also find Manscaped Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant, and anti-chafing balls deodorant and moisturizer. You'll also find Crop Revive ball toner and testes toner that's designed to give you an extra boost to do the job or the job on the pitch. Look as clean as well groomed head to toe. One is great, it's all-time great David Beckham. Get 20% plus free shipping with our code Celtic Rumours TV at Manscaped. Your balls will thank you for it, and your wife will thank you for it. That's Manscaped. Trim your balls while you listen to the Bawz and Bovril podcast. So, tonight's show we'll talk about the latest gossip and rumours around Celtic. Why is it so quiet around Celtic at the moment? Are we going to depend on the youth system for next season now that Anthony Ralston has agreed to extend his 1-year contract? Do we actually have a sizable budget for this rebuild for next season? Growing fear amongst Celtic supporters already for the starters next season. Will Eduard stay for another season and leave for free transfer at the end of next season? We talk about Gordon Strachan and the latest rumours directing him to the director of football role, or what the papers called this, technical director assistant to Ange. Firstly, I hand off to Mark for a few shout outs.
Thanks, Paul. Quick shout outs to Suspect, Tim Alloy, Malika, and Richie's hopefully starting chemotherapy this Wednesday, so hopefully that goes all right for him. Young Ben's getting down and working hard at his exercises. And Mikey's a regular on here. I don't even know if he's in the chat tonight. Mikey's brother had a serious accident at the weekend and he's in an induced coma, so fingers crossed that he's going to recover for that okay. And speaking of Mikey, don't forget we're holding a charity match to raise money for the NHS. It's been held at Falkirk Stadium on 18th of July. We've set up a crowdfunding page and a link for that is in the description box below. So please be generous as you can and spread the word about it in your social media.
So just a few rumours and gossip. French journalist Akram Kumar also predicted Moussa Dembele's transfer to French club Lyon, has come out and reported that Celtic have made an offer for a €7 million offer for France to fill a Valentin Rosner of Sporting Lisbon. Lazio have supposedly joined the race to sign this renter-back who's highly regarded across Europe at the moment. It looks like that Olivier Ntcham will leave Celtic next week and join Greek side AK Athens. Ntcham himself believes he'll be able to join on a free transfer as Celtic have failed to trigger a 1-year extension in his contract. It has been previously reported that Celtic would trigger the contract and AK Athens were going to waiver the rest of free for Barkas, but we'll wait and see what happens with that. Ange Postecoglou will officially take charge of his first training session on Thursday the 24th at Lennoxtown training session. Tom Roderick was expected to leave Celtic this summer, but after talks with new manager Ange, who convinced him to stay for next season and told him he was a big part of his plans. That's all for the gossip and rumours for this week. Mark, interesting to see about Ntcham there, isn't it? As it was reported last time that maybe they might waive his deal, isn't it?
That's a strange one, especially, I mean, we would have got money for him, as we said before, Paul. Even getting £1 million, £1.5 million, it's better than getting nothing.
That's right. I can't see, considering,
unless his attitude was that stinking, Paul, of just said, look, just get him out the building. I don't want to leave him. Do you know what I mean? Maybe his attitude last year was that bad that the club's just decided to cut his losses. Because let's face it, I mean, it's not really Peter Lill that's making his decisions now, but it's not like Celtic to give away money, basically, really, because to me that's what they're doing. If the player's under contract, we should be looking for a transfer fee for him.
Because they did a similar thing, Mark, with Sinclair. They triggered the last year in his contract, and then they went on to sell him. They didn't play him, but then they sold him in the January transfer window. You know, if Celtic have the option to trigger that contract, they should do it, and then sell him on, well, as you said, 1 million, 2 million, Mark, will easily get that, but to let him go for nothing, Mark, it's really bad business, considering that the board need money for the rebuild next season, and considering that the pandemic that was going on for the last 2 seasons.
And you know that he's a decent player when he wants to be. No, I mean, that's the thing about it. He is a good player when he wants to play. It's just
even, Mark, are AK Athens any bigger than Celtic? Or are they bigger than Celtic? You know, the Greek league isn't a competitive league either, really. It's not a major league across Europe,
No, it's not at all.
Considering like Southampton, all them were after him a couple of seasons ago,
I'd say the Greek league would be a higher level in general than the Scottish league.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm not a great expert in Greek football, but our fans are fanatical. It's probably just the same kind of the Scottish fans are. But
it's going back to what you were saying, Mark. Like, if a player wants to move, and if you're with the club that you want to leave, still play for that club that you want to leave. Prove yourself that you're a good player and get that big move. Because considering the teams that were after Ntcham in the last couple of seasons, I would expect a bigger team to come out for him, But that just shows how low his stocks after falling.
Well, it was only 2 years ago that was it no Porto offered 13,
Porter,
14
yes,
million for him,
yes, yeah.
and now we've let him leave for nothing. But it's again, Paul. See when they signed, Celtic announced these contracts, and it's becoming more and more common. We're finding out that the last year's actually no part of the
Exactly.
contract.
Yeah, it's an extension. It's the extension option. Like, yeah,
The,
yeah.
I mean, at Celtic, I've showed you on the actual official site that it was with Sinclair.
Hmm.
They'd signed a 4 year deal, 4 year contract, and then it came to it, and it was a 3 year contract with a year's option on it.
Hmm.
But they're not telling you that when these players are signing, and that's obviously what's happened with Griffiths. And oh, I see this one with Encham. Some people are saying that it's not an option. Some people are saying that there is an option there. So I don't think we'll really know for certain until something concrete happens with it.
Because if it wasn't an option there, Mark, he would have been gone by now, though, wouldn't he? He would have left. At the moment, he's clearly still a Celtic player
He's definitely a Celtic player, but again,
till July, Mark. Maybe
well, it'll be
exactly, Mark.
it'll be like the last day of June with
Mm.
contracts. That's when
Maybe it's actually between himself and the club if both of them are in agreement. Mark, you don't know what way Peter Lawler has been doing stuff over the last couple of years that is been so much of a shambles, the communication coming out from the board that we actually don't know what the players' contracts are, Mark, when that should be a kind of a basic thing that the fans should be knowing,
oh,
you know?
well, especially as I've said there, Paul, they're announcing that they're signing
Hmm.
these deals, and that isn't what they're signing.
Hmm.
But that,
This, la-
I don't even know. I mean, how can they do? I mean, that I know. How does player enumeration affect like share prices? I mean, is that not something against like a stock exchange rule to put out false information?
like I was like, always kind of see players like trigger a 1 year extension in the Premier League. Like if they've maybe 2 years left on their contract, they really let it go down to the last year, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
No,
They really, the bigger teams kind of rarely do that. Like they let it go down to they'll trigger it maybe halfway through the second last year that they have maybe 1.5 year on it, then they'll trigger it.
uh,
Then they might sell him that year. Do you know?
well, that's bigger. Well, we're a big club, but these richer clubs and that they wouldn't. I mean, can you imagine a team like Real Madrid or Man City, Man United are having so many players out of contract or coming getting into the last year of their contract?
There'd be uproar, Mark.
Oh,
There'd be uproar with the fans. Uproar, they would.
and
You know?
it's no help because with all these players getting into the last year of their contract and with that many loan signings in the squad as well,
That's where we are now, isn't it? Yeah.
players want to leave. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's ripped the full guts out the team between the players that aren't going to be here and the amount of loan signings that we had.
This right back, Rose is supposed to be an outstanding player. He's a young French player, but Lazio, as I was writing down the rooms and stuff today, and I was clicking back into him to get it up. Lazio have entered the race for him, and they're putting in. But when I went in deeper, it said that Celtic were looking at a 7 million. They made a 7 million bid for him, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, considering that Lazio and Lyon now have entered the race, Mark.
And
You know,
if he's available as well, I no doubt there'll be some English teams sniffing about him and that. I don't even.
especially.
I've seen his name. See when I seen the name coming up, it's one of these
Mhm.
players that I've seen people talking about kind of thing, but I don't really know that much about him. But he's definitely highly rated. I don't know what went wrong with his move to Sporting Lisbon. Right enough.
Mhm. So moving on, we're going to talk about season tickets renewals deadline. Welchie was supposed to be on with us here, Brian, tonight, but unfortunately due to work commitments he had to cancel. So myself and Mark will talk it through the best we can, as we're not season ticket holders, but we hope you guys in the live chat can give us some information on this. Celtic have reminded season ticket holders that they have until Friday the 25th to renew their season tickets. In previous years, Mark, the club always extended until the initial deadline to renew season tickets, as there are valid reasons to why someone mightn't be able to renew his season tickets on the deadline. This year, though, the club have refused to give a deadline to the second season tickets. Uh, just going, what would you think, Mark, would be the club's um, story like that, Mark. You know, why?
It's a weird one, isn't it, Paul? You'd have thought that, especially after the year we've had, the amount of people that renewed last year knowing they weren't going to be getting into the ground,
Mhm.
at least for the, well, we all hoped that after Christmas there would be some leeway, but it obviously never materialised. So people were not expecting to get into the ground for a few months, but they never
Yeah,
get in all season.
no, but that's what they were saying here. Like that, Celtic are saying that they want to know how many season ticket holders they have. But like the no team Mark came out then is like register if you want to go in and see Celtic. But isn't that the same as buying your season ticket, Mark? If you're a season ticket holder that you want to go to see your club.
I think I think that's more to do with like COVID and coming out of the lockdown situation, Paul. I think it would
Hmm.
be a case of, well, I mean, would people from Ireland be allowed to come over for games?
It's
People from
true, yeah.
you're not allowed to travel down to the northwest of England and that, so would fans be
Hmm.
allowed to travel up for there? Other fans would maybe just no want to risk it until it was 100% clear.
Hmm.
I don't. I think that's more like because of the lockdown and COVID that they're pushing it that way. But again, this just another example of Celtic board not being in touch with the way they're feeling amongst the support.
Exactly.
They're pushing them into, you know what I mean? They're
mhm.
pushing them right. You need to buy your season ticket by this Friday kind of idea. And
Yeah, some supporters that came out saying it's an absolute disgrace by the club considering the shambles situation with the manager. That Eddie Howe wasn't the first choice. Was the first choice, and Ange Postecoglou wasn't. No director of football in charge. There's no chief scout around the club. No major signings yet from the clubs, or no major outgoings back. We're still with the same players. And a lot of people say like that. It's like the club was saying to the fans, the season tickets, put up and shut up. You know that committee, like
I
you
do
know,
seem a bit like that. I've got to agree with you on that.
like Celtic kind of never kind of dealt this way before, Mark. But they did this, you know.
I've spoke about it before. I'm not going to tell anybody to buy a season ticket or not to buy a season ticket. It's up to them what they do with their money. But I mean, for me, if I had my season ticket for years, I just, I never, it wasn't a case of, oh, I'll wait to see who we're going to sign, I'll wait to see who the manager is, or we didn't win the league last year, so I'm not getting my season ticket. It was just a support at Celtic, you know what I mean? Whether they were garbage or whether they were good, that's what I support kind of thing.
Hmm. Like I know fans are kind of disappointed, like that. There's no movement and things are being quiet. Like, but as you said, Mark, like we're not here to tell them buy their season ticket. Don't buy their season ticket. It's up to you. And if you want your season ticket, Mark, you're going to have to basically try to come up with the. And as Brian was on here tonight, Brian would tell you, Mark, that there's a lot of folk out there that struggle to get the season to scrape up this money to get the season tickets. Like, and maybe these type of people were hoping that this extended new date was going to come for an extra week or two, Mark, that they'd be able to come up with the money. But you know,
Well, there maybe be that. I mean, I can remember I used to go to football and that. See a lot of the young guys in that I went to football with, it was like Provi loans and that they were getting to pay for their season
hmm
ticket.
hmm
Do you know what I mean? It was things like that they were doing to pay their season
putting
tickets.
themselves into debt, like yeah. Mm. If whatever happens, Mark, they're going to have to get their season tickets renewed by Friday, or well, is it they move down to the next batch of supporters on the waiting list? Is it?
Well, that'll be it then. Monday they'll probably be looking to work their way through the waiting list.
I have an interest in here from.
I mean, they're saying that Celtic usually extend the deadline and things like that, but I mean, they were late coming out with them this year as well. They've got to take that into account.
Hmm.
But still, I mean, if you're entering a kind of contract with anybody, you can't dictate. Do you get what I mean? If you're signing to get something, you can't dictate the terms or not. We're not paying it that. I'll pay you the following week. When you're applying for your season ticket, the date's on there when you need to apply for it.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can understand that it is normal that they extend it and things like that, but technically they never need to do that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting here from Rob McNair. He said, to me, it's not the case of supporting Celtic when you buy a season ticket. Not buying a season ticket, not buying is making a protest against the board, who I believe are going from bad to worse. You could argue that too, like that the board are actually going from bad to worse at the moment with the supporters.
Don't go to Celtic Park to support the board. You go to support.
No.
You go to support the team. The players are out in the park.
Hmm.
The time for talking and arguing about the boarding room and things like that, it's like with your pals and things like that, shouldn't have affected how you supported back your team.
Hmm. So, moving on from season ticket news, as a lot of Celtic supporters have been extremely frustrated as to why the Celtic board have been so quiet at the moment. A few points I've read from supporters on different sites, and they're asking why haven't these been addressed, or why haven't the club came out and said, look, we're not going ahead with this. Uh, One fella said, no director of football, are we going getting one? When will Ange officially start? Why is it so quiet in the transfer market? Any plans going forward will help us understand. Why is John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan still here, or are they going to be staying for next season? And who's calling the shots of Celtic at the moment? Is it Dermot Desmond, Peter Lawler, or Dominic McCurry? But they're really kind of questions that everyone is discussing at the moment. Like, and sure, the board knows the thoughts of the fans. Like the first one, everyone knows. The fans know. I believe even the club knows, and we spoke for those times that we need a director of football. But they haven't even come out and addressed it, saying, look, we're not getting a director of football today. This year we're going to get one next season, or we're in the process of hiring one. The director of football really is an unknown territory at the moment, isn't it?
Oh, I still think they're a point, man. I really do. I mean,
Hmm.
that talk with Gordon Strachan, as I said to you about that, Paul, I've not,
We'll keep that till later.
I'll be talking about that later on.
Yeah,
Right, well,
just tipping it there, go on.
no, I didn't want Gordon Strachan to get the job, but we'll talk about that later on. But I'm still convinced that they're going to appoint one. I mean, as I
Hmm.
said before, they've supposedly hired this high-end recruitment agency to separate the wheat for the chaff, or whatever it is you say. So I can't see them getting higher name and then just like putting it on the back burner.
Hmm. Another one, Mark, is me and you were talking about this last night, and I asked you. I hope Celtic have some news that we can talk in the pod this morning. But again, we were trying to go through everything, Mark, to bring up podcast because it's been so quiet from the board. But we actually thought that maybe Andrew would be in Celtic Park today, considering that he was out of quarantine on Saturday, but he's actually supposed to not be coming up for his training session on Thursday.
I didn't see him. When we saw him on the television and things like that, the Scotland game the other night, well, when she said he's out of quarantine, I don't know what the hold up is for him coming up. But
Hmm.
if it's going to be Thursday, it's going to be Thursday. I mean, there'll be hardly any players there, to be honest.
There's 17 players there at the moment. But interestingly, uh,
Eduard's no due
Ed
back to the
Ed
19th
was not
of
shooting.
April.
Yeah, and they did try, but Griffiths didn't return back to training the other day, and Cham wasn't there. But we can see why Cham. But Griffiths seems a strange one, Mark, after just coming out saying that he spoke to Ange last Tuesday and team seemed positive, and then he's not at the first training session. Is it maybe he's working in the gym, getting his fitness up or something like that? You think?
It could be, or maybe he wasn't due back. I mean, the way you don't seem to have been like.
I think it was more the youngsters, Mark, that were kind of back.
But you'd have still thought Griffiths would have been,
Exactly.
especially after the way he came back for the lockdown and things like that, you'd have thought he'd have been one of the ones that would even showing the right kind of attitude.
Hmm.
And do you know what, being there to meet the
Like
look,
the likes of Beaton were there, Zora were there, Roderick was there. There was a few senior players there mixed with like Luke O'Connell, Una Henderson, the three keepers were there, Barkas, Hazard and thing. But I just found it very strange, Mark, after he come out saying that there was positive talks between himself and Andrew, and then he wasn't there at the first training session back. So it's a strange one, like considering like that as you said, Mark, that you think he'd be one of the first person back on the training ground that the way he came back last season unfit, or maybe he could be Mark, he could be walking in the gym. We don't know, you know.
Again, it's just another bizarre story attached to Celtic, isn't it, Paul? It's just,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know what Griffiths is actually thinking. I mean, it was meant to be, everybody was saying it was the end of May to tell me if we would get this year's extension, and then it was put off again.
See that, but
I mean, what's Griffiths thinking?
that's going back now, right, to the Oliver and Champ situation, Mark. It's going back to the same. Like Celtic have not supposedly there's an option to trigger in Champ's contract, and supposedly there's an option to trigger his, but that was supposed to be the end of April, I think, was it? They had to do his. So
Was that, aye?
at the moment, so right, is is Griffiths a free agent, or is it till the 1st of July when the transfer window actually opens that he can move to a club? Is he still under Celtic's roof, even though his contract supposedly ran out? It is a strange one to think about it, like, isn't it?
Well, the transfer window's open now, Paul.
Yeah, but you can't move to a lot of players that actually finish like in Cham, like he'd finish up in July and he'll join in the first
Aye,
of July. So maybe I'm thinking like
be under freedom of contract, aye.
yeah. So I'm thinking maybe Griffith's situation is there that he actually has uh, till July to move. Maybe he said we're waiting for Pecan spoke to him, like, but we still didn't hear nothing about a new deal come for Griffiths. He didn't come out and say it himself. He said there was positive talks. He told me his plans. He told me what he wants, and we don't know where Griffith actually holds in the club, Mark, at the moment. So we don't, you know.
No, I know Griffiths messed us about as well, but they're messing, Celtic's messing Griffiths about now. I think they are. I said it in the last podcast, I'm getting a bit tired of the whole Lee Griffiths thing, Paul. I think it
Mhm.
maybe just for the best if he moved on now.
Yeah. So transfer market, like a lot of people, including the lads on the live chat, Barry, the likes of Michael was saying that they were expecting new signs to come in and maybe have the the unwanted players moved on. I was saying maybe the Euros were affecting our transfer market, Mark. Do you think maybe that's a possibility that the Euros are affecting our transfer business? That so many agents maybe are around the Euros and stuff like that?
There's not really much happening anywhere transfer wise.
No.
I know there's just, I think it maybe be down to just this, the European competition
Mhm.
and so on, and especially see we all being in like different countries and things like that. There's no
See, that's the problem. Yeah, this
agent, agents aren't meeting each other as regularly, things like that. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
imagine because they're all scattered all about Europe playing different games kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I mean,
I
it was
think
Depay. The only transfer like big transfer I've heard of so far, that Depay going to Barcelona.
that was a free transfer, though. That's right. Yeah.
That was in the pipeline for a while, but
Mhm.
there's not really much. I mean,
Not
obviously,
really much. And Celtic signing the young lad, Joey Dawson, as well as came in, but he's going to go straight into the Courts League, Mark, isn't he?
he'll be getting to that Colts team, which again, have you heard anything else about that, Paul?
No, Mark, that's my next thing here. It's that the Court teams that they're starting in mid-July. So we say 3 weeks. They're starting, right? We don't know who the squad is. You have to have a nominated pitch to play in, right? We've no backroom staff there. We've no manager in place. Like that's another area, Mark, that has to be unless now the likes of Steve McManus and Darren O'Dea are going to step up and maybe take care of the Colts thing with Chris McCart watching over 'em, Mark.
Well, it maybe be they're just going to promote from within, or maybe it's John Kennedy and they're going to demote from within, but
Oh, we said that he can't go down because
which still,
um, Gavin Strachan's Wi-Fi won't work outside the training grounds because he's no.
but I mean, it's just, there's
It is, Mark. It's just it
nothing
seems
great.
bad management from the board as well. Like that, like not only are our qualifiers, like Celtic qualifiers are 29 days away. Like we were playing our first match yesterday from 4 weeks to get me to 20th of July. We're playing, but like the court league is starting for like lesser time away. That's in 3 weeks. Like, and I know you're allowed four and under 21 players, and you can't have an under 21 player then can't play in it until the next transfer window if he plays in the first team. But they really need to get their squad going there, Mark, as well, like, and get things kind of built up, like.
I mean, we've not even really, see when you think about it, but we've not even got that many young players.
Because look who's what left. I know the young keeper that we signed from Tottenham, the kid, I forget his name, but he's a young kid. He signed a new contract, but that's the only one that I saw recently who has signed a new contract. And we have the lad Joey Dawson coming in. I'm wondering with the likes of Owen Henderson, Mark, and likes of Luke O'Connell, the fella that was with Dundee last season. What's his name? Alafobi, is it?
I have phobia.
Yeah. Will they be shifted down to the cult league?
I hope, well, I hope no, Paul. I don't know. I mean, I've spoke about him before. I think Luke O'Connell's good enough for a squad place.
You know,
But with the first team, and if you're saying that if they play for the first team, I mean, is that, see, like if you're playing for the Colts, can Celtic
see,
call
yeah.
them?
So if they're playing for the core teams, right, we say Owen McGregor, we just take him. Owen Henderson, sorry, we just take him. Right, say if he is in the core team squad, right, and Celtic called him up, right. So it's grand if he's in the first team, right. But if he actually played a game with the first team, he can't play then in that courts team then until the next transfer. So if he plays in that mark, we say in September, he'll have to wait for January then if he gets his game, the first team, to play back in that courts league. So you really need to know what players are going to be in around the first team, Mark, because if they get one game, it's not going to be like, oh, we shifted down to the courts. Then you can't do that. You can't put your injured players down there to get fitness levels up. So it's not like a reserves league at all. You can't shift and thing. You actually have to have a squad nominated.
It's a bit like they're treating it like a completely different club kind of idea.
Yes, yes, yeah. It's actually like that's what Shamrock Rovers here did. They have a coach team. I told you there in Ireland, like they have a separate league, like players. They have their own coaches, Mark. They don't play in the Tala Stadium. They have their own pitch. They have their own players, own management, different training facilities to the first team. It's basically a different club to run by Celtic, but it's totally different to the first team. You can't be promoting players up and down within it.
I mean, even the fact, how long's that Celtic and Rangers been going on about doing this? You'd have thought that as soon as they get okay, it would have been like, oh, systems go to get all these things,
Yeah, but
these
it's
things in
not.
place.
Like planning has been in the making for years for this, Mark. And when it finally comes to the air, then and it gets agreed, there's no plan there then for it. Like like we need to know. Like I think a lot of fans will go down and watch to see the next generation of Celtic fans, Mark. I think, Joe, I think they'll get good support. People go down watching up to see the next generation of footballs coming up from Celtic.
Oh, they would do. I mean, for years, I can remember years ago, like Celtic Rangers reserves, had the biggest attendance in Britain one weekend.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Because they played it at Parkhead. I'm sure it was at Celtic Park. They played it and it sold it,
Wow.
or near enough sold it. And Manchester United were away from home that weekend.
Mm.
So that was why the Celtic Rangers reserve game at Celtic Park was the biggest attendance in Britain that day. I mean, a lot of Celtic fans, I don't know what teams are in this kind of cold league, but we are teams through like Edinburgh way and things like that, places Michael comes from.
Hmm.
These people would go down and watch the Celtic Colts because maybe they can't afford to go to Celtic Park.
Yes, and then see the next. I remember
Take your
couple of years back there is that they bought over their under 18s, their under 20, yeah, they won the 18s, so they were playing against a local Irish league teams, Mark. But it was still Celtic, like, and myself and Vonica got me tickets. We went down. She called her Vonica. I'm sure she thought it was the first team that were coming when she bought the tickets, but you get over that.
But that's what
But
I was going to say as well. Do you take, see, like you taking your kids, your young
yeah,
Your young kids they'll know, they'll just think it's Celtic they're watching. It's
But
a wee cheaper day out for you with your family kind of thing.
Luke O'Connell was actually there. He wasn't signed long for Celtic, and he was. Remember, he had the long hair that time when he signed. He had the long hair. He was actually there. But you see all the young Cork City supporters, like you said there, Mark, they were running over to get their books signed by the Celtic players. Like they were just because it was Celtic Football Club. Do you know what I mean, Mark? And they were there. That the players were there. It was a great. Like I think it'll get a great reception
And
by fans.
you never know where these players are going to end up.
That's it.
I mean,
That's it. Like.
I mean, your picture took with Kieran Tierney when he was a young 17-year-old kid. And
Mhm.
you know, I mean, it's just
Exactly.
Celtic. People turn up to watch them. That's basically the gist of it, Paul.
Another quick question. We're not going to touch it, Mark, because the thing is, Kendi and Strachan, a lot of fans, they're basically saying, Mark, and they want the board to come out and say it, or even John Kenny and Strachan, are they leaving or are they going? That's another area that needs to be kind of sorted out quickly. I know we talked about loads of times, we're not going to kind of touch on it, but it does need to be sorted out, Mark. Is he bringing in his own backroom staff, or are they going to be part of his own backroom staff?
Again, Paul, I don't know, to be honest. I honestly,
Mhm. But that's what I'm saying. You're the same. It's the same questions as what every single supporter is asking at the moment. That we want information from the club, but the club aren't coming out kind of. They're holding their cards kind of close to their chest, Mark. You know what I mean? Like obviously the club know what the supporters are saying.
they'll know what they're saying and how they feel. But
You know.
too many times have we said it's long overdue for Kennedy to go out and be his own man. But as the more time goes on, the more I'm thinking he's going to be there next year.
I've said it loads of times, Mark, and you know it yourself. I said that he's going to be there next season. Like, but a lot of fans are saying like that. If it's going to be a rebuild, a new era, it's not going to be a new era if we have the same coaches around that were part of the failed Neil Lennon era. Do you know, it's not going to be so much of a rebuild. But
But again, well,
maybe they learned nothing from Neil Lennon, Mark. Maybe they couldn't work with Neil Lennon. Maybe Andrew come in. He might be the best out of John Kennedy again, like Brendan Rodgers did. You just don't know, do you?
well, the thing about it is, see, although he's just a coach as such, he'll only be doing what he's told to do. Ken,
Mm-hmm.
right, fair enough. We thought he would change things when he actually got a chance at the top job, but he didn't. But for setting things up, doing things in training and that, these coaches only do what the manager's telling them to do.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Do you think maybe that's what I'm saying? Like maybe Kennedy might work better with Ange. Maybe Kennedy was used to be more professional, Mark, on the likes of Brendan Rodgers and Dyle, be able to pass the ball and he wasn't able to maybe go with so much relaxed approach by Lennon. Do you know what I mean?
See, looking back, I kind of maybe get the feeling that Kennedy and Lennon didn't exactly see eye to eye.
Oh, I think so too, because how many times, Mark, did we say, you see Kennedy shrugging his shoulders at Lennon when Lennon asked him so, and look at the distance, like, you never see a manager and assistant manager nearly at the opposite side of a dugout. I mean, they're always side by side, like Davis was always just behind Rodgers, and if it wasn't Davis, it was maybe Yaya Toure or Calatorre, sorry. There was all your assistant is always on your right hand shoulder, Mark, there to give the manager advice, but you didn't see that. You know,
No,
you know,
sorry, just had a coughing fit there, Paul.
you know, right?
We've said before as well, Paul. Managers should be allowed to pick their at least their one, the main assistant manager, because they've got to have a kind of rapport and be able to work together, and they've got to go on. And see now, when you look back then, Lennon when he was coming out with, I mean, every day you were picking up well, not picking up the papers on social media, and he was coming out with all these things about Celtic, and
Mm-hmm.
he had a wee dig about not being able to bring in his own coaches, and we know that Lil put the kibosh on Parker bringing
Mm-hmm.
Lennon wanted to bring him back, and Robbo wouldn't allow it. So it's just been that animosity's just been there
Since day one.
after the get go with Ken because but we said it as well, Paul. Lennon knew what he was getting into.
exactly.
They've had that sorted out in the shower at Hampden. Do you get what I mean? They know for them the job. They should have been asked, well, what's happening with coaches? What am I allowed to do? And he didn't. He was just that grateful to get the job.
That's it. That's what Chris was saying to us there from Australia. One day like that, Lennon was saying that maybe Lennon was thinking, and it could actually make sense to what Chris was saying like that. Lennon said, "This is going to be my last time ever in managing Celtic, so I'm just going to go with it, no matter which." You know.
And if it was, as I say, we're just speculating, but if we're correct in what we're saying that Lennon and Kennedy didn't see eye to eye, that's going to have had a big effect on what's been going on the training pitch and the changing room.
Yeah. Yeah, do you think like maybe like with the downfall, the players' attitude, and maybe they didn't they're not caring attitude from the players. Maybe I'm just speculating here, though, like you, Mark. Maybe the players saw as well, Mark, that the coaching team isn't fucking seeing eye to eye here, and two of them are saying different things to us. Do you know?
Maybe we spoke again.
Yeah.
Was there cliques in the dressing room? Do you get?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was one side it was Lennon and his pals in the squad, and the other side it was Kennedy and his pals in the squad, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So on Saturday at the Scotland match against England, which well done to Scotland, you really put England in their box and shut them up for a change. Big Ange was at the match, but he was with Dominic McKay, and two of them stood together and things. But at the moment, Mark, people are asking who's calling the shots at Celtic. Do you think maybe Peter Lawler is still having the influence that he's there, or has he actually kind of winded down? He's not making decisions, and it's Dominic McKay, or is David Desmond making decisions, Mark?
I think at this time it'll be near Dominic McKay that'll be him and Dermot Desmond that'll be. Lovell's still there officially. He'll have a bit of an input still, but I mean, what's this, the 21st? He's meant to be leaving in 9 days or something like that. I think he'll just be probably
Mm-hmm.
spending a bit of time with his family, kind of thing, rather than after what happened to them as well. So maybe he's just what we've said at the end of a phone. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the phone call for Mackay, but the actual day-to-day running, I think Mackay will be doing most of that now, Paul.
I think seeing Dominic McKay with Ange in England, Mark, and not Peter Lord as well, kind of showed that Peter Lord era's actually finished at Celtic, that Dominic McKay was there getting the picture taken with the new manager, and not Peter Lord, shows that maybe Lord now has actually stepped aside and Dominic McKay is calling the shots now at the club.
There was rumours on the internet, but maybe was it about 2 weeks ago, that Peter Lord had actually left Celtic.
For garden leave, yeah, and he was on garden leave, don't this?
But nothing else ever came of that, and he got interviewed after it as well, didn't he? He done an interview after that, it came out. I'm sure he did.
JFP is on the live chat there, and I was waiting for him to come on the live chat. I know you've been away and think what I was asking a few times back when I was asking a few fellas since the Rangers game when I asked JFP John would he be happy for Dermot Desmond to sell his shares, is he think? And he said the only person who knows if Dermot Desmond is interested is himself. I'd like to get his opinion now. If he can put up the live chat what he thinks about Dermot Desmond now, considering we missed out on Eddie Howe, which is no fault of the club. There was a disagreement there in coach and staff and stuff like that. But with Big Ange and with the lack of chances and stuff like that, what's his feeling now on Dermot Desmond? So, Mark, so going by the club being so quiet at the moment and with this disconnect that the fans have with the club at the moment, does Dermot Kennedy have a big job in his hands here to build up that relationship with the fans, do you think? Or is he already kind of repairing it by actually starting to meet the groups now that Peter Lawler he's met most groups now more times than Peter Lawler has been at the club?
Mackay,
Mm-hmm.
I was certainly it was on a bit of a charm offensive because he phoned like James Forrest, and that's the guy that does the Celtic blog. He phoned him
Mm-hmm.
and another of the bigger kind of Celtic sites and that. Made personal phone calls to them. So he's definitely on a kind of charm offensive with the support,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I mean, it's badly needed. But we don't want charm. a pack of
Well,
whippets,
action, exactly.
fairy dust, you know what I mean? We want some action, something that we can see. And I said at the time when JFP said that about Dermot Desmond, it's right. I mean, if Dermot Desmond's not up for this, he's got to move on.
Hmm.
And it's his actions, no, I mean, will no be his actions whether he's up for it. I mean, a lot of people still not horny happy about Big Ange getting the manager's job, but we'll see how that goes.
That could be a mistake, Mark. That can't. Not going to say. I'm not going to say mistake because it's hopefully it's not going to be. But that could be an appointment, Mark, that no one was expecting. They could just blow everyone away, or as you said, Mark, it could be a failure. We just don't know what way that's just going to turn out with Ange. You know.
It's just classic Celtic, really, but into Paul, you just everything's
Hmm. So
everything's straightforward.
JFP says, Paul, I think my concerns about Dermot Desmond has been justified. He has done nothing to convince me he's up for the challenge. Well, Mark, you could go on nothing so far. He hasn't. He hasn't done. We're going to see in the next maybe transfer window, Mark, what the intentions are there. Is he going to put up the money for the players to be bought, or is he going to provide Dominic McKay money to modernise the club that badly needs to be done, Mark, because this club, not just on the playing field, but in boardroom level, Mark, has not progressed with modern football at all. You know.
Eh, sorry, Paul. What were you saying?
So I said, JFP said, Paul, I think my concerns about Dermot Desmond have been justified. He's done nothing to convince me that he's up for the challenge. And I suppose, Mark, considering at this point now, you could agree with JFP because one, we don't know who the signings are going to be. We don't know if there's going to be money for a director of football. Is he going to give Dominic McKay money to modernise the club the way that needs to be done? Because not only has the football club, the playing team, not modernised with modern football, but the board level hasn't modernised either. Like the whole club, Mark, is backdated, and what the next couple of weeks or next year or two will show if Desmond is willing to invest.
Well, I see. It's not really but don't Dermot Desmond doesn't really use money, but Paul.
Mm-hmm. It's the revenue coming in from the
Uh,
club, really. And, yeah.
Celtic really just spend their own the money they make.
Mm-hmm.
Eh, you can down the road if like Dermot Desmond putting money in, there's start again. There's only a certain level he can put in.
It's only 30 million, and you said, Mark, around that.
Thirty
Yeah.
million over
So
30 million over
is that?
that's over 5 years, Paul.
Yeah, but is that only into players or is that into the whole club in general?
Or well, under that financial fair play, there's exemptions. If you're spending money on like your youth academy, things like that, that doesn't count towards your financial fair play.
Mhm.
Eh,
Mhm.
but I like players' transfer fees and things like that, and it's like your general running costs, like wages, things like that. That don't come into that,
Mhm. But
which,
watch,
which isn't a lot of money, Paul. I
no,
mean, that's only
no.
it's only 6 million a year that he would be allowed to put in.
So like
But
this disconnects like that people are having with Dermot Desmond Mark. So like, what does he need to do? Like, what can he do? Is he working in kind of a little space to do what he can for the club, or
well, again, I've said it before. Dermot Desmond didn't really want much to do with the day-to-day running of Celtic. That's why you paid Peter Lowell the money that you paid him, kind of thing. It's down to he leaves this the run of Celtic to the CEO.
Mhm. Mhm. And just your own opinion, Mark. Do you think maybe David Desmond has been there too long? Do you think maybe it has brushed off him? Like because we saw with the last uh, thing this happened when Rangers won the league and Rangers fans hounded him in the director's box. He went out and he got Martin O'Neill, he got Brendan Rodgers when they laughed at him again, and he was the one specifically that was behind Eddie Howe, I'm led to believe that he was actually very disappointed that that deal broke down. That Dermot Desmond wanted Eddie Howe himself, you know.
A given, Paul, with what went on, how serious and how long it
Mm-hmm.
went on for. 'Cause I don't think if Dermot Desmond thought he was getting messed about, he'd have let it go as long as
Mm-hmm.
that. Eh,
Mm-hmm.
But again, there was all that talk as well that his son was going to be taking over, and then his son was there at the EGM and things like
Hmm.
that all went quiet as well.
So there's a lot of.
One of his sons is like a rabid Celtic fan kind of idea. No, I mean he's really into it. So I don't know if that's the one that came to the AGM right enough. But one of
Hmm.
his sons is really buys into like the Celtic full Celtic thing. He loves the club the same as we all do. But so does Dermot Desmond. I mean he does love Celtic. But
Hmm.
first and foremost, he's a businessman. I mean he could do a lot more for us, but we could have. Do you get what I mean? Imagine we had somebody like Dave King or something like that running the
Hmm.
club for us. It's like we were talking before about whether we'd want the Man City group to buy us over and things like that. I wouldn't want that. It's a case of sometimes it's better the devil you know, Paul, than
David don't know exactly, Mark. So we're moving on. We're moving on to our youth system, and with Anthony Ralston signing a 1 year extension that Celtic have uh, triggered by Celtic, and a new manager, Big Ange, gave his approval. Does this mean now that we are not going to be doing any major signings this season, and that we're going to start promoting our youth players? So, Mark, basically, what I'm getting here is like Big Ange is a big believer in the youth system within the game, considering our youth system hasn't really been producing players for the first team due to, for what reason was it the manager, like no real plan for them to step up, like so he's willing to give him a chance. Like, do you think maybe with Ralston signing a 1 year, not signing, triggered, I should say, that his contract was triggered by no season, are we not going to be looking at that position, Mark, for a right back? Are we not going to be looking for a position at left back that we have young Adam Montgomery there?
there's no way Ralston will be our first choice right back next year.
All right, so approach it that way, and this is what I was reading from stuff, right? Since Lustig left, we bought in John Joe Kenny and Flynn Frown and the lad Boyer, was it from Stoke City? I think was it Boyer.
Boy,
Are they any better than Radisson?
Ralston,
Are they any better than him?
that's a hard one as well, isn't it? I thought John Joe Kenny looked alright against, but really against the smaller teams, wouldn't it? He looked comfortable, even in the Rangers games, the two of them, he was a bit anonymous and get caught out a few times. See, Ralston for me is like a commodity type of level of player. I don't even think Ralston's good enough to be like a second choice right back, to be honest, Paul.
Hmm.
I don't like really slagging
But
players off, but I just don't see him. I'm su- I'm not surprised that he got the year's extension because
yeah,
even for just the numbers, do you get what I mean?
I was because he was one of the players, Mark, that we had
Is he
practically down to go.
could he play in the Colts team?
I know he's 21. Is he 21, 22? Is he? How old is he?
He's about 21, I think.
I don't know, Mark. Maybe he might be. I'd have to check the dates wise and that and come back to it. But he could be a little bit too old for it. You know, like there's certain months in the year that you can kind of get the right thing. But like, it is a strange one like that. Why is he getting a year extension when maybe he is a good player, Mark? Maybe we don't because look, we've signed average players too, and he wasn't getting his game instead of average players. But is that saying a lot about him that he's not good enough, and maybe other managers saw it, or was it due to the fact that maybe Neil Lennon and John Kennedy just didn't put their trust in the youths, and maybe B. Can't will give him his chance?
I, I think every player that's here will get their chance, Paul.
Hmm.
I think that's the type of guy that Ange is. I don't think he'll be getting overwhelmed
Maybe,
with players.
maybe he'd be a backup right back. Do you think?
Uh,
Maybe sign another one.
we'll definitely sign another right back. There's no way in the world we'll get into the season with Ralston being our first choice right back.
Because at the moment, our back line is going to be Montgomery, Welch, Julian, and Radisson. That's if we don't sign players. That'll be your back line going into your first pre-season friendly match back. If we don't, and that if they don't basically pick themselves up, that's the back line you're looking at for your qualifiers.
But it doesn't really matter for pre-season friendly.
No, but I'm saying maybe
And
even for the qualifiers, if we don't bring in,
oh, there'll be signings made before the qualifiers. There's got to be. I'll bet my heart on it.
and some people are saying then like, does this mean so that we give Lee Griffiths a contract extension, Mark, because Ralston is getting one? No, I have some good stats here on Lee Griffiths, right? So from the season, I'll get up there again. I just find it now, Mac. So like with Ralston getting new contracts, that means though that all the young players, Mark, are going to get maybe break into the squad, and we're not going to sign as many players. Maybe the likes of O'Connell, Henderson, all the young players that are loan, are they going to come in, Mark, and be part of, and we're not going to sign as many players as we think we should need, or do you think they're going to spend money anyway?
Oh,
Does it matter?
there'll be money spent again, Paul. I've no doubts about that in my mind. But I don't see having players like Luke O'Connell, young Hugh Henderson. I don't see them being in the first team squad as a negative or something to use against the board for no spending money. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, but would you be confident in them being in the first team, considering we have to win the title back next season? And I'm just going by
No, I wouldn't like them to
what
be
we're seeing.
first team
Yeah,
regulars. No, I've spoke about that before, but there's
Ralston turns 23, Mark.
oh,
He turns 23 soon.
I thought he was younger than that as well. See,
You know, that's 23, Mark, and he's never really, and not just on the lens as well, Mark. He's never broken in really in the Ron Rodgers era either. So he went in kind of around the squad there, like so. I, I'm very surprised if Ange gave us approval of this yet, like considering that he hasn't seen the squad train yet, Mark, has he?
no,
You know, I think this is done by the club itself, and not Ange. What do you think?
but well, I see again. Really, it shouldn't be down to the manager whether players get contracts and things like that.
Or the maybe Mark Diago to sell him, maybe the contract, maybe sell him off then, because there was a few clubs in the Premiership that are looking at him. The likes of Kilmarnock were interested, and there's a few of the lower teams that are interested in him. Like so, maybe they are going to buy him, and maybe they are going to sell him.
Sell Ralston.
Hmm.
That'd be a bit of, and that's a bit of shithouse move, I think, right enough if they've done that. Well, it's like what they've done with Scott Sinclair, extended his contract and then never played him. I think
Hmm.
if Ralston, I mean, if they've extended Ralston's contract to sell him, that just makes
Hmm.
what they've done with Encham even more ridiculous.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. And even the situation with Lee Griffiths, right? So from the season 2015 up to 2017, right? 3 seasons. 90 minutes completed was 50. Games missed through injury was 20. Appearances 128. Non-penalty goals was 70. Assists was 27. Goals per 90 minutes was 0.77. Assist per minute was 0.3. Scoring per minute 90 minutes was 1.7. So, and then going by the last 3 seasons, Mark, that we had when he's since the end of Rodgers and kind of start Lennon. Season was 4. 90 minutes completed over 4 seasons, Mark, was 15. Games missed through injury was 83. Appearances was 118. Non-penalty goals was 33. Assists was 15. Goals per 90 minutes was 1.56. Assist 1.26. And scoring ratio per 90 minutes was 0.82. A lot of people are saying like, that they like to have Griffiths around because he's a proven goal scorer and thing. But Mark, you're looking at the stats there in his last 4 years. He's not a proven goal scorer.
No, he's
You know,
he's definitely been.
no,
He's nowhere
he
near the player that he was.
two good seasons realistic. Mark Griffiths had versus Underrun and Dylan.
Well, I said that in the last
Yeah,
podcast. Uh,
you know,
his star's definitely on the wane. I mean, he's what 31 now.
yeah.
Uh, you were just again talking about Griffiths as if he's
No, but that no, I'm
as
not.
if
I'm
he's
not pointing this.
oh, but
No, but I'm pointing at like people saying Griffiths should get a new contract instead of Ralston. But people are still looking at Griffiths to when he was about 5 6 years ago under Ronnie Dyler, and he's clearly not the same player, Mark, as he was then. One, his fitness is gone, Mark. Two, he can't keep himself fit. I know he had his mental problems, and we're not going to discuss that because it's not fair on anyone to have it. But Mark, he came back, he got overcome, he overcame on fair Justin. But Mark, you still need to keep yourself fit. You're a striker, you strive off goals, and Griffiths hasn't been scoring the goals.
no,
You know,
I totally agree with you.
And for me, Mark, if more than likely Eduard's going to leave, we talk about his situation in a minute. There's doubts about a Yeti, all right? We're going to have Bale coming back. We don't know if he's going to be staying at the club. We don't know. You have Griffiths. There's three strikers you have there, and I presume Mark Griffiths is on a good wage as well, I suppose. If you can free up Griffiths' wage and Eduard's wage, you could easily bring in two decent strikers there. You know?
Oh, do you think so anyway?
hmm like there's
It's,
pros and cons to Griffiths looks back, but I'm leaning and I hope he proves me wrong. If he stays, I hope he proves me wrong. He gets himself in. But Big Ganj, from what we learned off the lads, Mark plays a fast football. Do you know what I mean? And I couldn't see Griffiths being fit enough to play that role under Ange.
no, he's like a wee buzz bomb, but it's in short spurts he does it, isn't he? I don't think Griffiths could play like defending for the front kind of game. I don't think
No,
Griffiths could do that for 90 minutes.
no, because that's what he does, Mark. He defends from the top. That's what the lads are saying. That he's defending starts with the attacking.
Uh,
You know what I mean?
no Griffiths, and
That's not,
it's certainly
and
not
it's not,
Eduard either.
or Yeti, or Bayu, or four strikers there, Mark. I mean, our four strikers at the moment won't be at the unless he gets some match fit. And look, we still have to see if there's a player in there Yeti, Mark. We don't know.
But realistically, Paul, you could see the four of them leaving.
hmm
You really
But would you be upset if the four of them left, Mark? I wouldn't if I knew it's sped up thing to get decent strikers in, two decent strikers, because we clearly seen what we saw the Yeti, Mark, that even when he comes off, he's an attitude.
uh,
He's tired after about 50 minutes. You know,
I
even Griffiths looks tired, Mark.
we never, we said that.
No,
Yeah,
no.
but he was late coming in. Thought once he gets fit and things like that, but it just
Yeah,
didn't.
but we thought, Mark, we thought that we heard that a lot about our players going to other teams not being fit. A lot of managers came out and said, look, the fella from Belgium came out and said Shevin wasn't fit when he came over and stuff like that. But yes, he came from a professional club in when I say professional, I mean different standards, Mark, to what we saw in the Blenheim Rogers with West Ham. I suppose West Ham would have state of the art training facilities. Well, as do Celtic. But Mark, you get my point. There's a different level.
You know,
Premier League.
aye, there's
Yeah,
definitely a gap there. Aye,
there's definitely a gap there. But he came up from a Premier League club, and he certainly wasn't fit. So, like
and it's still weird why we bought him. Into
David Moyes must have been laughing when we came in with a fight. Right, not just David Moyes, West Ham.
I mean, I've said it before about it. For getting a guy in and loan to 2 days later buying £5 million for him, just it was
Mm-hmm.
un-Celtic, un-Peter Lawwell thing that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
No, I
But
mean,
he,
it was a crazy situation, and obviously it's no worked. I mean, don't get us wrong, if he come up here and scored a bar load of goals, it'd have been like, oh, 5 million, that's a bargain. But
but he,
he didn't.
he didn't no. He was grand at the start. Really, once he got one or two goals, and we thought he reminded me of a kind of a Rule Van Nistelrooy type of a player, Mark, that would stay in around the box, kind of a thing.
We thought once he gets fit, once he gets fit, we could have a right good player here, and they just never got fit. He just never looked fit, never looked
hmm Like,
interested.
so I'm basing all this Radisson thing, Mark, on are we going to see the Deadwood that we thought would be gone? Are they going to be staying again? The likes of like Radisson, we know is going to stay. Griffiths, the likes of Beaton, Bain, Rojek, Mickey Johnson, Yesi, like that's all Deadwood. Like Mickey Johnson, two marks, another young player that was in and around the first, but a lot of people spoke about his lack of muscle that he's easily pushed off the ball. But he never kind of stepped up either, Mark. And that's what I'm afraid, Mark, that if we're going to be keeping all these, like Beaton, two marks, another player for me who's past it. Rojek, who thought he was going to be sold this season, but was convinced basically by Ange that he's staying there. Do you know what I mean?
Talk about if Lee Griffiths could play under Ange with this high press. Could not
Yeah, but look at these players, Rojek, Beaton.
Beaton. I mean,
Like,
Beaton's a good enough squad player, but he's older now, and he'll be in a decent wage. And for me, he's taking up.
if you're playing
He's taking
a
up.
high press there, Mark, yeah, with Beaton, like he's going to get injured. He's not going to be
He's going to be.
lasting 90 minutes for you. Same with Rojek's not going to. And the lads said that too. The lads said that as well. Chris and Gavin, like they said, he won't last 90 minutes with Big Ange. He didn't even do it with Australia. Do you know? So maybe he'll be a big part player under Mark. Maybe he'll bring him on. Will he play as number 10 under under Ange, you think?
So, well, where else is he going to play him?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? That's his position, isn't it? He can't stick Rocket shooting the wing.
Fucking Neil Lennon did, didn't he?
Exactly, I know, but you can't, it didn't work, did it?
No. But like Mark, you can't do it. The thing I'm getting at is like we can't do a proper rebuild. Really, we can't expect to bring in new players if the likes of these players, who I think Mark are comfortable at Celtic now, they're at that stage in their careers. Like Beaton and Wojciech definitely are anyway. In the state, they're comfortable. Yeah, the comfort zone, Mark, and that's what they are. I guess there's still question marks over. We might see a different player on the Ange with him. We don't know, but you can't progress, Mark, under the new era, under the new manager, if your top players are gone, which they are. You've Eduard's going to be gone. Christie will be gone. I know there's no thing about Christie. He can go if he can go, but they are good players, Mark. But they're all and you're left with these squad players. Like big questions, Mark, need to be asked off the board. Like why aren't they being sold now? You know.
Oh, 100%, Paul. I've said it before to you. I think
Mm-hmm.
guys like Beaton and that are just stopping young players progressing.
That's it. Like so when we were saying in the last pod there, Mark, that Beaton would be taking up a place in the first team for the likes of Luke O'Connell. Do
Aye,
you know what I mean? You know, that's like thinking like Mark.
I say it
You know,
every podcast,
yeah,
that many substitutions now. There's no reason for you not to have two or three young players on your bench.
yeah, but they're not going to get a chance, Mark. If the if the likes of them going to be there, well, supposedly age is not a number to Ange, like, but
It's a,
if they can't play, Mark, they can't play. Do you know what I mean?
but I mean, there's obviously like pecking orders kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? If
Like I couldn't even see Scott Brown being fit enough, Mark, to even play in Ange's system. Like the only position, Mark, that I think looks comfortable at the moment is midfield. That we'll have Zorro, Thornhill, and McGregor. You know,
well,
that's the only positions. Like we've no wingers, we've no left backs. We at least need two centre backs, Mark, because Julian picks up an injury as well. Like you know that, but I was
Julian's no back to September or October meant to be anyway.
yeah, but I was reading actually, Mark, about Luca Khan that he can play centre back as well.
Ah, you said that.
You know, so he's
There's an ideal young player that should be in the squad.
yes.
On.
Yes, a player, Mark, who's versatile and can play numerous. Like he's actually a similar player to beat on. A versatile player, Mark, that can play in numerous positions for you, and he's just been thrown away down to a loan club. Not, you know what I mean? I would before kept him with us, Mark, and having played a few games and actually being ready for next season. Do you know already? You know, but we saw from Kenny he was unwilling to do that over favouritism and being Scotland's last season. We didn't get Zorro to get his chance either, you know. So, like, some people are worried like that they're there, like, but you can see why they're worried like that. You can't progress, Mark, if you have the same failed guys in around the squad, and who, in my opinion, Mark, are past it now. You know, Celtic need to get rid of like the Griffiths, Beaton and Wojciech.
It's
You know?
they're stale, really, isn't it, Paul? It's just like a
Mm-hmm.
staleness in the squad when it's just
Mm-hmm.
same faces year after year. That really, I mean, they're really not providing anything to the squad.
No, they're not, Mark. While they're playing, say eight to 10 games max, not even across the season. That's including cups and stuff like that. 8 to 10 games. You
Aye,
know,
aye, Beaton just, I don't know, it's just,
Beeson plays 3 games, Mark, and he's injured. Same with Roger. Roger plays 3 or 4 games. Like, he got a good run there at the start, but near the end of the season, then he was gone again. Maybe he is after picking up another injury, like, you know.
it'll be a lot, you'll probably find that a lot of players will pick up injuries under Ange at the beginning
Mhm.
because
I think so.
it'll be a
I
bit
think so, Mark. Because I think I'm shocked at the system, Mark. Because
the training and the
you know,
intensity
I
will
think
be.
suppose he's coming in here on Tuesday. I say he's going to have some rude awakening, Mark, when he comes in and see how actually some of our players will think they're fit, but going by his standards, Mark, they're going to be nowhere near the fitness he wants them.
See, just to get back, see when you're saying that there, when we're talking about why you've not been up here to Thursday, maybe the players are just in doing the beep test things. Now, will they test to get put through?
It could be, Mark. Or what I'm reading too is
Maybe that's
that
maybe that's what
that
Griffiths was doing
there's
the other day. Maybe
no,
Griffiths is due the Mora because
and
lockdown.
people were asking why Ange wasn't up there today and stuff like that. And what I was reading that Dominic McCoy is actually still in England as well, and they're putting finishing touches to Charlie Wyke's contract.
Right.
That he is this deal is going to be done, Charlie Wyke. And I was reading up about previous players and previous Sunderland striker Kevin Phillips thinks, Mark, that this is going to be a big signing for Celtic. That this fellow will score goals, providing he's given the service.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? If we're going to get wingers in that's going to provide
See, Mark,
this to him.
this type of striker, he's 6'2", Mark. He needs balls in the box. You know, he doesn't need this tippy-tappy football we saw with Neil Lennon, 5-10 touches and then pass it back to centre midfield. He won't score goals. Yeah.
I don't think this guy. I don't think he's coming in to be Eduard's replacement. Eh, do we know? Do we know what formation Ange's going to play? Is he
No,
going to go with the one up front, or is he going to play two?
so we don't know. Yeah,
The thing about this guy is it gives us an option that we've not had for a few
for
years.
years
No,
since Van of Hesselink, I say, Mark, was it?
ah,
Or Mark Andrew Fortunate around that direct? No, Hesselink, I think. Yeah, Hesselink.
big physical. I mean, well,
Mm,
Dembele was physical and that, but he wasn't your kind of target man centre forward. But this is what this guy's supposedly like. So again,
yeah.
just an option that'll give us something that we can. You can
Well,
if
I'll just say one thing, Mark, and you're sick of me saying it, boy. You'd always tell me let it go. We had that player in our books and we let him go for 3.5 million in Patrick Camilla. We left him go when I heard not so long ago that Chris McCart, all right,
right.
this new fella who's leaving, John McLaughlin, and Gavin Strachan didn't want to sell him.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm. They didn't want to sell him, and I
So now you're sticking up what Gavin Stratton says is.
no. Like,
Saying that
he emailed me the stats from his laptop.
you're sitting there, oh, Gavin Stratton, get rid of him, he needs to go, and now you're using him as backup for your.
No wonder people want him to go because he said he wants Kamal to stay. So, folks, this one's going to be controversial between every fan. There has been some talks that Eduard might stay at Celtic for one more season and leave on a free transfer, considering from what we're reading that Paris Saint-Germain have a buyback, a selling clause of 40 to 50% selling clause.
That,
And
that.
right, that we're just going by what we're reading, so right?
No, I know,
Yeah. So that's the clause that's out there, 40 to 50 mark, isn't this? That they have a clause.
I'm not saying, but I can't.
Like if we sold them for 15, that they get 6 or something like that, or something. Is it? We get 9.
It'll be, if it's 15, we'll be paid 9 for them, so it would be 40% of the 6. It'll be a percentage of the profit.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
percentage of the full fee. It's
Mm-hmm.
percentages of sell-on clauses. It's percentages of the profit that you make on the transfer. But
So basically, Celtic are only coming up with about 3 million, 2 million, sort that mark, won't they?
2 weeks ago, everybody was saying 15 million. Leicester are saying. I said at the time, Celtic wanted more than 15 million for. They still want more than 15 million for Eduard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I mean? There's no way Celtic were letting Eduard leave for 15 million pound. I don't believe for a minute that sell-on clause is 40-50%. I just can't see. I can't see.
I could see Lol doing that kind of a business anyway. So if we just go by that, we'll talk about here. So it's reported that Celtic still have bad relationships with former Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers in Leicester City, due to Celtic still feeling hurt by Brendan Rodgers jumping ship in the middle of a season to join Leicester. Celtic slapped on an additional fees than what they originally demanding of the 15 million. The extra fees was called what the papers were calling as the Brendan Rodgers tax. So, like, just going back to what you say, Mark, say if they did have it right, this buy-on clause, right, that they say they have right, that they had it right, okay? And if we're going to, basically, if Celtic were only going to make 2-3 million off him, right? Of out of the profit things that they get back, and this, so Celtic will be able to make about 3 million off him. If he decides to stay for one more season, bad blood, Mark, he leave it there just because he wants to move to Leicester, supposedly. And it was Celtic that put on these additional fees, they called it, and the papers called it blending water tax. That's why supposedly Leicester pulled out, because of these additional fees that was put on. Could Ange maybe turn his head for another season, Mark, and keep him, you're guaranteed your 30 goals? Maybe if you could turn his head, or do you think that it's too much of a risk to take?
I'd sell him. I'd be actively looking for him to get sold, Paul. I don't want him here next season.
Mm-hmm.
Just,
Mm-hmm.
just. I know he scored goals even last season and that, but the way he was strolling about the park and that was just
We don't want that negativity around the
disgusting.
park, Mark. We had enough of it, didn't we?
It really did. Eduard and Christie, the two of them just really disgusted me last season, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, I like a wee rant and moan about Ryan Christie, but no, there's no way I'd keep Eduard and let him leave on a free. No, not today, but even the finances here. We need the money to reinvest in the squad, obviously, as well, but just because his attitude.
Exactly, Mark. It's not a risk like Celtic can afford, because it backfired already on us. You know that he wanted to leave last season, and he was one of the players who wanted to leave, and we kept him. You can't do the same mistakes twice, Mark, in 1 year, and do you know what I mean? You can't, like, you know.
I mean, we can't afford to lose the transfer fee. That kind
Mm-hmm.
of money, do you know? I mean, that is probably one of the main things that for the business side of things. But as a Celtic supporter, no, actually on the field, he let the club down, he let the fans.
And not just that, Mark. Other teams would be laughing at us too if we let Eduard go for nothing. They'd laugh at us. We'll come a laughing stock, letting one of our big assets go for nothing just because we wanted to keep him. Do you know what I mean? That's something Rangers would do.
It kind of give you the impression that Eduard's bigger than the club.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? If it would be, because we all know he's desperate to be away. So why would he even agree to stay here for another year?
Mm-hmm.
Why would he even agree after wanting to leave? And there'll be plenty of teams that would want to buy Eduard before the summer.
West Ham are supposedly coming back in. Maybe Arsenal now might come back in for a Mark. You know, I would be for him to leave, Mark, because it's too much of a risk to take. Do you know? But there's some fans, and I was reading on Twitter, and they were saying, considering the sell on the sell on clause, I'd keep him for another year and think. You're not going to turn Edward's head, Mark. Even if you kept him, like, one not selling you, was there for another year, you're not going to turn his head, Mark. He's going to be the same player who wants to leave Celtic, and he's going to down tools again.
I agree with that. It would just be kind of sulking way he walking about the pitch and things like that. Very
Mm.
bad for all parties concerned.
It's his Mark, isn't it? Yeah,
It is.
it is. Like no matter what, like if he scored 30 goals or things like, you can't forget the way he let the club down, the fans down,
Oh,
his manager down, Neil Lennon. He left everyone down really. So we're moving on from Eduard, and we're moving on to Celtic's youth coach, long-serving academy coach John McLaughlin has left Celtic and will be joining Hearts. He will take up a role in the Hearts as as coach and development manager. McLaughlin has been at Celtic since 2005. He's led the role from intermediate academy coach for over decades. That means he's been tasked with helping players transition from academy setup to the fringes of the first team. At the moment, we don't know if John McLaughlin took this move himself to further a next challenge, or is he part of this youth development shake-up, Mark, that the fans have been asking for. It's not
aye.
like a huge story, but it's a major
What is it?
it's a major story, Mark, considering how we were talking on the pod here in previous podcast and saying that they set up from the youth academy to the fringes seems to with the area was that the players weren't getting that kind of pathway. Maybe
Do you notice it said to the fringes of the first
the
team?
fringes, yeah, it said the fringes. Didn't say the first team, Max, but said so. That's the issue, yeah.
But that obviously this guy he was doing his job. His job was to get the players to that level. If he was doing that, then it's up to the manager and that to implement them into the squad. And again, we've spoke about it. That just wasn't happening.
So I think, Mark, he was recommending all these players. Maybe he had his plan. Like we were saying, Mark, that there was no. We thought like maybe there was no 4-year plan that to bring in these players there. So reading by what I was reading of John today, that he actually had that plan, and he was getting the players up to this level of the fringes. But when they got there, it's like it was a brick wall. It was impossible to get through to the first team, and not just under Lennon. Rogers was inclined to Mark to stop a few players breaking through as well. I know Terry and McCall, but they broke in under Ronnie Dyler.
Uh,
You know,
Rogers was like a checkbook manager. He would rather
yeah,
spend money than nurture and bring through young players in that. There's no doubt about it. The best manager we had for that in the last times is obviously Ronnie.
Ronnie, because what you said to me, Mark, that if Ronnie didn't come in that time, the likes of Tierney and Cal McGregor and James Forbes would have left.
Well, if Lennon had still been in charge,
Yeah,
but I don't know about Forrest, but McGregor and Tierney would definitely have been away if Lennon had still been in charge
they
back.
wouldn't have. Yeah, they wouldn't have gone into the team, Mark. They wouldn't have gone to the team. Can you see it? Is this a loss to Celtic, Mark, or is there rumours to believe that maybe Dominic McKay and maybe Beacon are looking at, and they saw the way the youth academy was, and maybe they thought that this fella needs to go to shake up things.
Oh, maybe they did. I mean, maybe they've got somebody. Well, obviously, we're looking for somebody to replace him. Maybe Big Angie's got somebody in mind for it.
Hmm.
Something that keep going on. Maybe this phantom director of football's made the decision, kind of thing. And
Yeah, because going by like what Andrew's saying, Mark, like he's beaking to the youth, and that's one of his big areas that he likes. He likes to be involved with the youth system. So I think we're going to see a whole different approach, Mark, to our youth system. One, breaking through the first team, and two, like the. I know we talked about the for and against of the core teams, but at least they're going to have some sort of football and remark in like a reserve league. Do you know what I mean?
uh, at
To play.
least they're playing games at some level.
Yes, because that has been one of the biggest uh, massacre, I would call it, that the Scottish FA scrapped the reserve leagues. Like, it's not just affecting Celtic, but it's affecting Scottish football as well, Mark, if all these young players are leaving Scotland, you know?
Well, I mean, I've spoke about it before. It was a crazy decision to scrap the reserve league. I mean,
Hmm.
even like the smaller teams like your Ackies and that, they kind of rely on bringing through their youth players.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean? So if
yes.
you're just training and playing bounce games, you're not coming into you're not coming into the first team.
Do you think maybe that's why we're seeing so many youngsters coming into the likes of Dundee United, Hamilton, St. Mary Mark coming in at maybe 16 years of age because the club have nowhere else to put them and they don't want to get rid of them?
Well,
That they are breaking into the first team?
maybe that is part of it. That's one of
Hmm.
the reasons why they're getting their chance. But it's just a Scotland. I mean, it just shows how miles behind we are when it comes to like the top level of football. When you've not even got a reserve league,
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
there's no rhyme or reason to it, Paul. I don't know if it was financial wise they didn't. I don't know why they done it, but
Hmm.
obviously, and it'll affect Scotland for years to come unless they change it. Eventually, it'll affect. Do you know what I mean? The Scottish national team and things like that as
But
well.
if the coach team is only for, and I think we might do a pod closer to when we have more information about the coach team, Max, when the league's kind of starting, we know who the manager is, what players he has. We'll do pods on the coach league as well. But it's only going to be for 1 year as a trial in the Lowland League. Like, if it is a success, can you see maybe the likes of Aberdeen, Kilmarnock, Motherwell, Hibs, maybe putting core teams down there, or will they be left?
But,
See, that's the problem, Mark. You know what I mean? You're going into an actual league, and they probably don't want their league flooded with core teams either.
but I mean, it's like right. I mean, Celtic and Rangers are getting into this, and we're expecting one of them to win it. Really,
Mhm.
realistically, and it's a if Celtic's first Rangers are setting, but they're not allowed to be champions. So it's the third
So,
place team.
oh,
So can
yeah,
you imagine if you fling Aberdeen and all the rest of them into the mix as well? You're talking about
exactly.
the team in seventh place getting promoted and things like
Like,
that.
this should be, if it's a success, Mark, there should be a courts league.
But
You know,
exactly. Why not
not
just
a,
start a coach
yeah,
league?
not a resolve leagues, Mark. Like a resolve league is different to the courts team. Like resolves, you can put down your injured players down there, Mark, to get fit, play a few games, but you can't do that with the courts team. It's actually,
You're starting from
yeah,
scratch, Paul, so you can make your rules up. You can
yeah.
start a coach team and say you're allowed to have three overage players
Hmm.
in that
Exactly.
three
It's
overage
like
players
the
in your
like the Olympics. I mean, you're left like is it one or two professional players to play the Olympics? Like have those kind of set of rules. You're
That's
left. You
it.
Yeah.
And then if it's an older player or that, but he's coming back from injury or he's whatever, they can get
Yeah.
down and play there for a couple of weeks to get his fitness back up.
Mhm. So when we have more detail about the courts league, Mark, as we spoke uh, earlier on the podcast, like we still don't know who the manager is. We don't know who the team is. We don't know who the coach and staff is. But once we know, once their season is up and running, myself and Mark will monitor the Colts League as well. So moving on, we're going to move on to Wiegard and Strachan. So rumours have been circling around Celtic at the moment that Gordon Strachan could be taking up a range or more at Celtic, either a director of football or technical director. Uh, this has got a lot of fans split down the middle. Some fans would be happy with this appointment, saying that he's experienced, he knows the Scottish game, he's managed the international level, he knows the club, he loves the club. Others have said that uh, it's a lack of ambition from the club. He's not up for the job, he's too old, hasn't managed in 10 years. Mark, where do you sit with this?
Oh, I didn't want Stratton. Well, they've come out and said that it's not true, haven't they? But I
Mm,
didn't want Stratton to get a director of football's job. It's just if that's the best that we can come up with,
Homer.
we've not done our homework. Do you get what I mean? It's just and it would just kind of smacks even Mary Crony in it, cronyism kind of thing. But the story came from inside Celtic Park. So there was somebody in Celtic had this conversation about
So I was putting that to you, right, Mark? I was putting that to you. My next thing was here was that do you think Celtic were testing the water again for the season ticket deadline is Friday? Were we testing the water again, Mark, that throwing this out there, get the final season tickets in, and maybe then get disappointment in.
I was thinking it was more along the lines of somebody on the board wanted Gordon Strachan in, and maybe
I could tell you who wanted this.
Dominic Mackay, didn't he?
It's Damien Desmond who actually wants Gordon Strachan in the role because he's still in great contact with him. I've read this day. He's in great contact with him. They speak regularly over the phone. That's why he's constantly on Celtic TV, and that's why he's been so positive about Celtic on Celtic TV, even during our meltdown last season. Gordon Strachan was the only positive pundit on Celtic TV, Mark. That it was actually Dermot Desmond that wanted Strachan in not a director of football role, but they're calling it a technical director. Mark, it's slightly different than the technical director. It's more of assisting the kind of manager in this, you know.
Not exactly director of football. There's not as many responsibilities and things like
No,
that
no,
involved in
you
it.
kind of.
Again, it's just wordplay as well, Paul. Really, isn't it? It's
Mhm.
all these job titles that they kind of come up with. That just do the same kind of job basically. But I mean,
So he'd be basically like setting up the coaches
it's just
for the coaching, looking after the academy, the infrastructure. It's basically it's like a part-time role really of a director of football, Mark. In this, you're basically doing some of the stuff but you won't be involved in transfers. You won't be involved in stuff. You'll be involved within the club, setting up things within the club.
probably isn't like a full-time job as such. You probably wouldn't need to be at the club or Lennoxtown or anything every day of the week. But it just again, it just there's no ambition in that, is there, Paul?
No,
They've just,
there's not, Mark. It's going back to
I mean,
what was said about Eric Shevchenko. It's going back to that. Like it's a lack of looking outside the box, just going to players who have been here already, and it's
bizarre.
it,
Just I can't hope it's not going to happen. I really do, but I don't think the fact that he's not managed for years makes any difference.
but that don't make a difference, Mark, because like I was looking at that, it's not a manager's role,
No,
and he's actually doing a similar role now
that's what
at
he's doing at Dundee.
Dundee. He's doing that, and his role at Dundee is technical director, not director of football, technical director. So like did Manchester United do that? Was it director of football operations, and then they had another kind of a director of football? They had kind of two similar roles together. Weren't they when they were Manchester United?
Aye,
When they,
they've got is it a technical director they appoint it?
mhm. So like there's, I can't see it, Mark. Do you know what I mean? Like one, like how old is Strachan now? 62, I say 63.
It's about that anyways.
Do you know what I mean? Like Celtic has moved on since he's been there, so I can't see. Like I know he's been around Celtic TV and stuff like that. Like, but a lot of things have changed the club. I would have loved to think, Mark, a lot of things have changed the club that since Gordon Strachan was there. Like, but as you said, Mark, like this came from outside the club, like so it's worrying kind of a fucking thing, like isn't it?
Aye, but I'd like to think as well that being the technical director at Celtic's a lot bigger job than I was doing it for Dundee.
That's exactly, Mark. Because that's what I'm saying. Like it's a big step from stepping up from Dundee into Celtic. Like considering
It's like when
the
there was
overhaul our youth academy needs at the moment. You
Talkie Maloney being director of football, and that Maloney to me, Sean Maloney's not qualified to come in as a director of football.
what's your thoughts on the live chat, lads, about Gordon Strachan maybe coming back to some major role? Like what I mean about Ganja and this about himself, Mark, and what lads are saying, he's his own man, and I wouldn't think he'd be the person that would want some kind of oversee like director of football. Yeah, he'd work with that, but the technical director seems is kind of working alongside you, giving you advice and stuff. I wouldn't think Anne would like that. Like maybe they might be in to get used to the Scottish football. Or is that their way around these pro license thing, Mark?
Well, John Kennedy's got his pro licence as well, sir,
Yes, and he got
and he knows
yeah.
the Scottish game, so for that side of things, I'd probably rather keep Kennedy to do that job than have Stratton doing that, like advising him about the Scottish game and things like that. But
So why do you think some people are happy about this appointment, Mark? Is it because they know Gordon Strachan, he's won titles with Celtic? Is that maybe you think why they're looking at that?
just cronyism, Paul. That's the only reason I can think for it. Well, you're saying Dermot Desmond is his good pal and thing.
Good buddies, and they're constantly on the phone, yeah.
That's a bit, I mean, it just seems to me I get like jobs for the boys kind of thing. I mean,
It's gone back to Mark too, like it's.
because his other son works at Celtic Park as well, didn't he?
Gavin, and his other son's a scout. He's a scout for Celtic in the UK and European market.
You know what I mean? Then
You
coming in this time.
because Glasgow Strachan FC.
Aye.
But like it's gone back to Mark like that when Donald Mackay came in, he met the Celtic Trust and all the different fans group that he wanted to modernise the club. He wants to do a 5-year plan, everything. Like Gordon Strachan isn't modernising the club. Do you know what I mean? To me, he's past it. Like it's like bringing in fucking Roy Hutchinson or fucking Crystal Palace. Do you know? It's old football, Mark, and football has moved on since Gordon Strachan, I think, and even how to deal with players now, Mark, you have to be very careful in dealing with players now.
It's a total lack of ambition, Paul.
That's what it is, Mark.
If it's true, do you know what I mean? It's just guys all over the world that does a better job than Gordon Strachan in that kind of role.
Yeah, the likes of maybe Kilman or Motherwell, Hamilton and stuff, if they saw Gordon Strachan maybe coming in as a director of football, there's a big move for that kind of a club, Mark, but not when Celtic at the moment, Mark. You see our board level is in turmoil. We need to modernise, and that's not how you're going to modernise at the moment, So there's been a lot of concern at the moment with Celtic fans, and look, a lot of people have been saying, and I've been saying it a lot myself, no news is good news, but there comes a time, Mark, when supporters like ourselves, Celtic, want to see the club sign players, maybe have a 5-year plan, show a bit of ambition. The qualifiers are in 4 weeks' time. We've no players signed up. We don't see kind of no players leaving at the moment. At the moment, Mark, you could say the club at the moment is in a mess. Really, we're in a mess at the moment with signing players, where we're going or who's going or who do we have at the moment,
Well, definitely it's a mess, Paul. No arguing with that, but hopefully once Ange comes in on Thursday, that's gets the ball rolling, kind of.
Gets the ball rolling, Mark, because like it's actually 29 days, Mark. Is our next match 29 days for the European and 29 days in football now, Mark, considering how fast the weeks fly by now. It's not a lot. It's not a lot of time to get yourself prepared with new signings and get them up and running within the squad, Mark. It's not a lot of time, is it?
Oh, it'll be a rushy job for the Midtjylland game. Midtjylland, is that how you pronounce that? It'll be a tough slog to have a team fit and raring to go for that.
We were talking about them, and one benefit to us is that, and I suppose that we're lucky we got Midtjylland, is that Ange knows how they play because he's watching the Australian, I forget his name at the moment now, that he's been watching the Australian playmaker and who's their danger man, and that he knows Midtjylland down to a T. That's actually one benefit to us, Mark. So if we can get through that, Mark, round, Mark, I think that's around nearly 10 million, I think the club's it to the next round. Is it?
I don't know the money off behind.
It's around 10 to 13 million anyway. I think that's what's around. So even if we got through that, Mark, like that's a big bit of a budget there as well, like that he needs to spend. So the next round, Mark, is going to be very tough. Like you're going to have Spartak Moscow and teams like that. I don't have them offhand, but it's a tough ask, Mark, the Champions League this year.
Huge ask. I said that to you before, Paul. I don't really see us qualifying for it this year. I think we'll get by Midtjylland a day. For me, that was the best draw we could have got.
Yeah, definitely, Mark. Considering Galatasaray, Mark, going there and travelling there in a tough time under new manager, and even if he got thumped there, Mark, the fans are going to be on his back straight away after that. Like considering how bad we were in previous Champions League runs, But this is Celtic's fault, Mark, for not winning the league last season. This is the consequences. You get these hard draws.
That's that. They've
You know, and
only got themselves to blame, kind of thing, Paul.
yeah, and going by next season, the first place will automatically go into the thing, Mark. The league is number one priority this season, not Europe. You know, if you get a run in the Europa League, fair enough. But if you don't, Mark, the number one priority next season is the league.
Definitely.
You
That's what we need to concentrate on. I think we'll get into the Europa League.
know, a lot of fans, Mark, already too, Mark, have been writing off next season due to the fact of basically what we've talked about. Because I based it on kind of fans forums and based it on our own forum that we have, and a lot of fans have saying next season will be a tough season for Celtic, and it could get a lot messier because of where we are right now, Mark, at this point today. That because we have no players signed up, because we don't know who's leaving, that all that's going to have a negative effect straight away on next season, and that's why fans are kind of concerned already. Now, if you read into Ange's philosophy, right, he doesn't win the league in his first seasons, Mark. Right? He wins the league in his second seasons. He won the league in his second season at Brisbane. He won the league at his second season in Japan. It's not the first season he wins league, but he's saying stick with him. He'll win us the league. But you're not going to have that time at Celtic, Mark.
No, no,
You know, this is,
you need to win the league next season.
you know, but our fans right to worry, Mark, that considering we have no players signed up, or is it a bit too early considering that we don't know what players he's bringing in? He hasn't even touched down in the training ground yet, Mark.
It's a bit early.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a bit early to be writing off a season that's not even started when we.
But you've seen them already. You've seen it yourself, even on our own form, Mark. There's people writing them off next season. That next season is going to be like it will be tough. I think, Mark. I think it'll be a close season. I think Rangers will sign. Maybe Rangers will improve. You know, but Rangers too, Mark, have to hold on to their big players as well. Like Morales is tipped to go. Ryan Kent is tipped to go. There's people looking at their defence. You know what I mean? Like we could see a whole new different Rangers team as well next season. You just don't know. It's too early to be saying things like.
You know yourself, Paul. People just like to moan.
Mhm.
I mean, see, even if Eddie Howe had come in months ago and we'd signed brilliant players, people would still moan, Paul. That's just what people do. So
I think we're looking at realistically, Mark, for players to come in to be signed. I think they'll be coming in around July. I think so.
I'd like to think so.
I think it's July because what I'm reading with
We can't
with
leave it till late in the window, Paul.
with with Encham's leaving, his contract's been agreed with AK Atkins that he'll be leaving, Mark, and he'll be joining up with Denham in July. If we sign the fella Charlie White from Sunderland, which I'm reading, Mark, is practically nearly a done deal, that he's turned down Nottingham Forest, he's turned down Middlesbrough, that he wants to come to Celtic. He's been speaking to Aidan McGeady, and he wants. So I think he'll come in, but he won't be joining up with Celtic either. The first, so what the level is with a lot of people, Mark, and it could be the same with Griffiths as well, Mark. I think that the 1st of July is when you either stay with Celtic or you move on from Celtic, or if you move to Celtic. I think that's when you could negotiate transfers now and stuff like that. But maybe under their contract, Mark, maybe it's July when you'll be kind of joining up with the teams. Then
It might be, but
Mhm.
well, that boy's nearly signing. You're saying, but I think come Thursday, I think we'll maybe even get maybe another signing maybe next week, Paul.
Yeah, we get another. I think we get a press conference anyway. Maybe the weekend, Mark. He might tell us how training went and how he met the players, or maybe the players might start coming out saying, "Oh, we did our first training on the thing," and just to get a reaction, Mark, just to see how the first few days went. Like, because you're not expecting miracles to happen on Thursday anyway. You know, he's going to have to meet the squad, maybe go along the training station. I presume that would be maybe a normal training station, Mark, under Gavin Strachan and John Kennedy, and maybe he'll.
There'll probably be an interview with him on Celtic TV on Thursday, Paul.
Mhm.
Just to kind of puff piece kind of idea. No, I mean, say all the right things, and Jerry McCulloch will ask him all the
I
right
think what people will be looking for, Mark, on Thursday, and what me and you are looking for, and what some fans are looking for, is on Thursday, is there going to be a mention of his backroom team? If he's not going to mention Thursday, Mark, I don't know if he is going to be bringing in his backroom team. You know,
I know it's a weird unit. There's no even been. I mean, for these two guys that we spoke about before, they were
because yes,
Muscat
there was
meant to be.
yeah. Well, what I said to Denmark was, if they're coming in, the lad Hutchison and Sunga, I think his name was Tonga.
Something like that.
So if they were coming in, and if they were coming, if we say if they were coming in, maybe if you signed them up, think they might be the end of June. They're going to have to quarantine Denmark for 10 days, and they're not going to be with Ange anyway for at least a month. So he's going to have to stick with Gavin Strachan and John Kennedy for the moment to help him get things up and running.
Well, that probably let's just extend it again. What's Kennedy going to be? What's Rosie going to actually have?
Exactly.
I think it's looking as if he's going to be staying now, but
Yeah.
even him himself, did Tino come out the other day and say that he was looking
Thinking of his own, yeah. But we don't know, Mark, do we? Again, you don't know. Do you know what I mean? Kennedy could be just saying that as well. But
talking and
like Kennedy's obviously hearing what fans are saying about him. Like, you know what I mean? He's obviously hearing stuff, Mark. You know what I mean? You know.
Oh,
You know.
the fans are saying it's on social media and things like that.
But I think anyway, and Rob McNair says that I've been saying it through the whole podcast, and Barry nearly got a heart attack when I was saying to him that Kennedy and Strachan will be part of his backroom team. So, folks, that's all for tonight's show. Again, our thanks to our sponsors, Manscaped Grooming for Men. Again, if you're listening to the podcast, why not trim your balls while listening to the Balls and Bovril podcast? Not only will your balls thank you for it, but your wife will thank you for it as well. That's it for myself tonight. Thanks to you guys in the live chat. Mark will close the show.
Thanks very much, Paul. I can't believe that you reading that out earlier on. Thanks everybody for joining us. Been really,
I read it out good though, didn't I?
oh, you've done brilliant. Have you used it yet?
No, we won't. We're not. That's one thing I swore we're not going to do. We're not going to talk about Manscaped using Manscaped on the forum.
I will say one thing by you, the boxer shorts are really, really comfortable.
Mark's all silky smooth.
No, but the boxer shorts really they're dead comfortable. The material that they're made in that, so I would recommend it.
Lads, they're good kit, lads. We got a box here, and this box is worth €150, €125. Inside the box, you get a shaver, t-shirt, Manscaped boxers. You get a balls toner to keep that thing all stuck up and fresh. You get a ball deodorant if you need to wee. You dribble, just give a spray. You're nice and fresh. So, Mark, close the show for us tonight before I get carried away.
Hey, all right, thanks everybody for joining us. Mind and hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't. Thanks very much, lads. Good night. God bless. Hail, hail.